What's up, everyone? Welcome to another episode of Acceptable Accuracy with Tyler and.
Shoulder holster, Philip.
Oh my goodness, do you even have a shoulder holster?
Not yet.
You know, we have talked about this for years, and everyone who knows me knows I am not a big fan of shoulder holsters. I understand the comfortability of it, but that's about it.
But then you get to be a detective. And that's kind of
I,
cool. In my
which
head,
is,
at least. Anyway, you don't actually get to be a detective. That would be illegal. But, I mean, you could detect things. Like, you
yeah,
could,
the funny thing is I don't know, have you seen the series Psych before?
like the TV show Psych
Yes, the
with
TV
Sean
show.
and Gus.
Yes.
Only the best TV show ever made. Oh, yeah, dude.
Well,
My wife and I are complete psychos.
I argue that Suits is better, but Psych is also a great series as well. But when you brought up shoulder holster, the very first thing that popped in my head was Carl Lasseter.
That's fair. But I think that, what's her face also had one with a shoulder holster. I think all the cops, like detectives, did.
Jules, did she
It's,
have one?
I think so.
I thought
I
she,
think
she might have. I can't remember. But I know good old Lassie did. So, but all the,
I did not know that you liked Psych.
yes,
I think we just became even better friends, Tyler.
yeah. So one of my other good friends in the past, he was really into it, and there was a girl that I really liked who was into it. So then I pretty much got caught up in the whole series, watched it, got ahead of her, and then that did not work out though. She's married now, so I'm very happy for her. So that was like, I don't know, 6 years ago. So that's what got me into it, and then I continued to watch it. And then I saw the movies, and aren't they coming out? I think they're thinking about coming out with another one.
I hope so. They've all been really good because sometimes they'll have like the series where they'll do like the series will end and they'll do specials after and they're kind of garbage.
Yep.
But the chemistry between Sean and Gus and the rest of the cast, I should probably call them by their actor names, but their actual names.
I
But
know, right?
the chemistry between the whole cast
Dule
is,
Hill and James Roday.
yep,
I had to
it's
think for a
just,
second what their
yeah,
names were.
the chemistry is so good. It's
Oh,
so good.
100%.
Like, and they pick right back up, and it's like a friend you haven't seen after a while.
Hmm. Well, that's how
But it
dudes are. Like you can not talk for years and then see them again, and it's as if you haven't even skipped a beat.
right.
It's crazy. That's how
So
my college buddy and I are. Ethan, he was in Connecticut for a while for work as a youth pastor out there, and he just got hired in Arizona. We talk occasionally, but every time we chat, we'll talk for hours. And it's like just us catching up, and it's like reverting back to college bros. And he sent me a meme a week ago. So it was like basically two dudes like doing everything together at work, and we're like, yep, that's gonna be us because we'll just do everything together. It's like we're never gonna get anything done. So, or at least effectively or productively, I don't know, efficiently, that's what we're looking for. So
yeah.
yeah.
Speaking of missing a beat, so last episode we were going to talk about concealed carry positions, and it turned into a story that
Couch quarterbacking.
we quarterback what we would do in a certain situation. So that ended up turning into an episode on its own and it had its own legs. So we kept it as such without trying to water down that content and then trying to rush two subjects into one. We decided in that episode that we're going to move the concealed carry positions over to another episode. So
Today's episode.
that is what we are talking about today.
Exactly, which is why spoiler alert, Phil wants a shoulder carry.
I do. It's not, and people are gonna give me flack about it because when you draw your pistol from a shoulder holster, if there's anybody behind you or to the side of you, you're going to flag them.
Yep.
But it
Truthfully,
is,
that is the
yeah,
only reason why I don't want to say I'm against it. That's why I'm not a fan of it. That's a better way to put it. So that's other than
but
that, I get it. I totally understand the appeal to it. And with us living in Michigan where it's cold like half the year and you're always
right.
wearing jackets, I get it. Totally get it.
Um, But plus, I carry a 1911 anyway, and there's a
No,
grip
you do
safety
not.
and there's the side safety. Like, so you have to get to both of those. So it takes like a
You
year to hit them
carry
all.
a LCP 380.
No, I carry a 22 Derringer. Okay, all
You
right.
carry the
So
you carry like that 22 wallet gun.
yeah, I forget what it's called. They had like a goofy name to it. It was like
I
so
have no idea,
I
man.
don't remember. Anyway, you want to kick us off and kind of go over what your thoughts were on what we're going to cover on the conceal carry positions, downward facing dog
I
episode.
would say that it's a very straightforward episode of where, when it comes to concealed carry, it is such a personal thing. And really, that's how firearms are in general. I love how Ronin Tactics puts it. I think he likes to say 95% of it is fundamentals, and the last 5% is for you figuring out what works for you. And that's what concealed carry is when it comes to positions. First of all, it's trying to figure out what gun are you going to use, and then from there, what holster, and then what belt. And then that's really what you're trying to figure out and play around, because for most people, you have, if you're in the concealed carry world, you most likely have a drawer of holsters because you tried out so many. And unfortunately, most holsters are custom made and are not returnable, unfortunately, which is why I am a very big fan of Wild Gunner, because they are not the sponsor of this episode, but it would be awesome if you guys sponsored us, because for those who don't know, Wild Gunner is a company, I believe, based out of Texas, and they are a holster rental company, and they have holsters from other big name big names like sorry, Tier One Conceal, T-Rex Arms, and other holsters for guns like a Glock 19, M&P, a Shield P365, and so much more. So I highly recommend it. Everyone who asks me whenever they get into concealed carry, I recommend to them, rinse your holsters, try it out, see what works for you, see if you even like appendix. Do you prefer 3 o'clock? Do you prefer small of back, which I think is not a very good position at all? But hey, whatever floats your boat, bro. That's the beauty of autonomy and free will, I guess. But you can find out that you're wrong. So really, I
So
don't really have an outline for today's episode. It
the,
really more like what works for me, and this is what I do, and that's how I choose to do. And I'm more than willing to learn more, and my, I guess, journey of how
well,
I got there.
yeah, and I think we can cover the different carry options as well too.
For sure.
Real quick, I want to step back to something you said earlier about how you decide to conceal carry. What were those different criteria again?
So, what do you mean by that?
Like, I think you said like the way, like how comfortable it is. And there are a few other things that you added into that, like what you're carrying, all that.
Oh, for sure. Like, the very first thing is figuring out what gun do you want to use. And when it comes to, I love how Lena Michalek breaks it down. She has a whole video of it, how you are going to, when it comes to guns, when it comes to concealed carry, you are going to have shootability, and then you have comfortability. So the bigger the gun, the easier it is to shoot. The smaller the gun, the harder it is to shoot, but the more comfortable it is to carry, most likely. But more importantly, the more concealable it is. So, really, there are three things when it comes to a gun, which is comfortability, shootability, and concealability. So, those are the three things. For me, I'm a big fan of finding something in the middle. That's why I carry a Shadow Systems MR920 Warpoed Edition. Yes, shout out the war poet himself, John. Please
Every
sponsor us.
every other episode, I swear.
Pretty much, bro. I don't even
Like
care because I love
like
that gun.
when Tyler gets home, he like puts it into like a picture frame on his wall
No,
that
I do
says
not.
"best gun ever."
I mean, it
Um,
is,
the
but
other thing I was thinking about with a concealed carry perspective too is um what you're doing when you're carrying. Because just
yes,
because you have one method of carrying, I guess this is kind of what I was getting at. You have one method of carrying, it's not going to work for everything.
no, of course
I
not.
think of like going to the gym, right?
Yep,
Like,
I
and
fanny pack
how
carry,
that's
bro.
going to change things. Yeah. So I guess when I step into the different carry options, and then we can kind of settle on finish out with how we carry.
Yeah. So for most people, for the majority of the time, I recommend on the body carry. I'm not a fan of off body carry pretty much ever. There is only one there are a couple situations where I can understand because I have off body carried before. Back when I was at a public gym, I would off body carry, whether it's a fanny pack or even a drawstring backpack, only because it's really hard to work out when you have a gun on you. So, other than that, I would say on the body. And,
So I can't carry on my dog then.
I mean, you could be Halle Berry in John Wick 3, I guess.
But that brings up the question: who is concealed carrying the firearm, myself or my dog? My dog does not have a permit, but I do. But the dog is not a human. Does the dog need to be permitted to carry? Deep thoughts.
I knew you were going to get into that. I'm not even going to answer. I am not even
I,
going to
I don't
answer
want to
that.
sidetrack. I don't want to sidetrack us. But I guess let's talk about off body carry real quick, just from like a why would you want to do it, right? And a lot of people recommend against off body carry. I think there may be an exception to that when if you have a fanny pack on,
Yep.
because there's a few things with a fanny pack that you got going on for you, and there are some problems with it too. But because the fanny pack is so close to your body, it makes it harder for somebody to snatch from you, and then your access is actually pretty good because it's right in front of you, and there's a like they make like concealed carry fanny packs that have really quick zipper access. You could get to your gun not as fast as drawing off of your body, but you can get to it pretty fast.
Hmm.
In a situation where you are out for a run or working out at the gym, a fanny pack, I think, at least, is a great alternative.
I agree. Well, if you're doing anything active like that, or I know some people, they'll fanny pack carry while hiking because it's uncomfortable. If you're going miles and
Yeah, that's
miles,
legit.
I
Yep.
get it. I've done it before in Hawaii. Unfortunately, I couldn't. I couldn't even bring my gun there, so I was as free as I could be. I guess I had a knife on me. That was about it. I had a tactical pen that I lost while hiking, unfortunately. But whenever I'm here in Michigan, like I'm usually wearing on me unless I know it's a very strenuous hike. Then I would do a fanny pack carry.
Right. I would agree with that. Other off body options, uh, you could carry in a backpack,
Yep.
especially let's say you're carrying, you'd have to, if you were carrying like a pistol AR.
Oh,
Why you would be considering carrying a pistol AR? I'm not sure, but maybe you're going
because
through
it's
like,
cool and
yeah,
awesome
it
and
is cool, and because
the
you can.
greatest invention ever. Or
Yeah, and again, I could see like maybe you're in bear country or what. I don't. Again, is you're gonna have to pull out a rifle. Like, pulling out a backpack is pretty slow, especially considering like the size of them. Anyway, that would
so
be an option. Again, it's closer to your body.
yeah,
There's multiple like methods, and you're probably also carrying in another capacity,
yeah.
right?
So if you're, let's say you are a female and you're off body carrying,
In a
the
purse.
only two recommendations or encouragements I would give would be one, actually have your purse maybe like a crossbody carry versus just carrying over your shoulder and
Yes,
always having it with you, because the main reason why people say do not off body carry is your purse could get snatched or whatever your off body carry median is, it can get taken from you very easily. So keep it on you where it's secure and it's always inside of you. And two, wherever you choose to have it, put it in a place where it is accessible, easy, and not surrounded by a bunch of other crap.
right.
That's the only other thing. And make sure it's got like a trigger guard or some kind of holster or something. So this way you're not risking an ND because you're grabbing a firearm that where the trigger's not protected and you're already being slowed down significantly, because I know some people, they're probably, if they're going to off body carry, they're probably not going to have one in the chamber either, so you're already slowing yourself down. So I would still recommend one, a fully loaded gun, one in the chamber, but making sure the trigger guard is protected and the gun is by itself, so you know exactly where it is, you can grab it and nothing's in the way.
Yeah, and for women that do carry off body in their purse, there are concealed carry purses just like there are concealed carry
Oh
fanny
yeah.
packs, and a lot of them. And this everything has a downside. I think that's the biggest thing we're going to pull out of this episode is everything has a downside. So carrying your purse is really comfortable, right? There's a few risks there. Again, your purse getting stolen. So again, crossbody, 100%. You shouldn't even be having like setting sit on your shoulder. Terrible idea.
Hmm.
They do make some concealed carry purses that also have a metal wire inside of the actual strap on the purse itself, so that it can't be cut. Because a lot of times you hear like cut purse, where
Yeah.
somebody will
Yep.
cut the strap on a purse and then they'll steal the purse because even if they were wearing it cross body, that's how you're going to get it away from them. Introducing a wire into that makes it more difficult to cut through. However, it does create a potential choking hazard. Um, Again, likelihood of getting choked out by your purse pretty low, but it still could happen, right? Like it gets caught on something and you end up like choking yourself with it or whatever, or somebody trying to pull it from you and it chokes you. And again, whatever. If you're wearing it crossbody, there's less of a concern with that because it will be underneath your armpit. So less
Hmm.
likely to get strangled by it. Still a possibility, I suppose. But then something else that they make for people that do pocket carry as well, that covers a trigger guard is they make these trigger guard covers that usually are kydex, and they
Yep.
kind of like click in to the. They don't put something in the trigger guard, but they kind of click around it, and then there's like a string or something attached to the kydex that you attach to the inside of your purse. So when you pull it out, the firearm it pulls away from the trigger guard and allows you to access the trigger as
Yep.
needed.
That's what I have for my whenever I fanny pack carry. I have one
Nice. I
both
did
for
not know
my
that.
shield and for
Nice.
my yeah, and for my Shadow Systems MR920 Warpode edition. So
Good gosh.
fine, my Glock 19 clone. Is that better?
You say whatever you want,
I
dude.
can call it whatever I want.
You
But
should
that's
call
what I
it.
have. Like
Yeah.
I do have that whenever because for that same reason because I don't want an ND by accident. So I have a trigger guard for both of my concealed carry guns that I would typically conceal carry in that way, which is hilarious that I still fanny pack. Think about how big this fanny pack is that I fanny pack carry basically a Glock 19 clone.
With some snacks in there too.
I do not have snacks in there.
He does. Anyway,
No,
so
I do
the other
not.
thing with a purse too is you have to consider if you have a purse and you have children, especially small children, like they're
Oh
used to
yeah.
rummaging through women's purses to get candy or money for snacks or whatever. So you don't want your child coming across your
What? I've never rummaged through my mom's
whatever.
purse for candy or money in
Um,
the past before. I think I
yeah,
got in a lot of trouble for it once.
so take that into consideration. Do with it as what you will,
For
and make
sure.
sure that you're not causing a problem.
Yeah.
I'm not a woman. I don't have young kids anymore, so the whole concepts are just calling it out. Do some research.
Yep. Yeah. So
Um,
that's off
I'll,
body
I'll-
carry.
yeah, the only other off body, which I guess technically would be on body, is if you're hiking in the woods. Some people will open carry on their chest with like a chest rig type deal, and that
Ooh.
is like I because Eberly stock. I probably butchered it, but please sponsor us. Um, they have like this like hunting kit or like hiking kit that you can get that almost looks like a chest rig that you would use for like I don't know, like competition or military use or whatever, but it's designed for use for hunting or for hiking or whatever, and then there's like
Yeah.
a you can actually put a holster attached to it or something like that. So it's part of the system.
I
Because I don't know if you,
feel
I
like
don't know if
that
I've
would, huh?
but it's like a fanny pack, right? But
Yeah.
it's on your chest, so I don't know.
And it's open carry and it's easily accessible. So I mean, I guess I would probably lean that more towards on body, but that it's semantics at that point.
Yeah, we'll call it an in between and move on.
Yeah, that's no big deal. So now that's off body carry. So now let's go into on the body. So
Yep, and your boot.
I'm yeah. So today's episode will be more primarily on how and where you carry. So for my context, I am a fan of Kydex holsters because it has the most retention. It is prevents any deforming to where which would cause an ND, whether it's a leather or even you have there's some holsters where it's like a hybrid where like one half of it's kydex and the half that's on your body is like a neoprene or
Um,
a leather.
like
And
Alien is Alien Gear that kind of pioneered that.
it's I was thinking I think it's like hybrid or crossbreed holsters, I think maybe that does it.
Anyway,
I don't
yep.
remember. But I mean, the idea is there. I get it, especially for comfort. But I have seen videos of where at first they're great, but after a while, because of the sweat and all the movement, eventually that flap, because it's basically like a high rise holster, it starts to deform and get flimsy. And if you're not careful, you can actually kind of, it can go into the holster itself, and that could cause an ND because it'll go towards that trigger guard. So that's another reason why I'm not the biggest fan of that. But all that to say, I'm a Kydex only holster type of a guy. I'm not going to say that's like the rule or the law, but that's where I would say that's what I would recommend, because it's the safest. And if you get the right holster, it's comfortable. I carry every single day for 8, 9, 10 hours at a time, and I don't really notice anymore. So, or rather, it's very eh, negligible, I guess, is a better way to put it. Like, I remember one time I was driving to Iowa to visit my ex-girlfriend, my girlfriend at the time, she's my ex now, and I kind of forgot about it. I had my holster on me for like for 5 of my 7-hour drive. And I was like, "Oh yeah, why do I still have my holster on me?" So I just took it right off. I was like, "Oh, this is way more comfy." So, all that to say, conceal carry, bro.
Well, okay, so with Kydex, it is the reason why people like leather or like some kind of neoprene is because it is significantly more comfortable, right?
Oh, of course.
Um, Kydex can truly be very uncomfortable, especially if you're carrying for long periods of time or you're moving a lot. Again, you can kind of get used to it over a while based on body types and things like that. Um, I have personally struggled with finding a place to carry that's extremely comfortable for me.
Yeah,
And to this day, I still don't have a great solution. Hence the joke about wanting to carry like in a shoulder
I get
setup,
it.
right?
So, I guess before you expound, I guess, would you
Yeah.
like to share, because you and I have completely different body types. We
Yes.
are very different. I'm
I'm a Greek
Mhm.
goddess, a god. Well, goddess. Well, that's
God,
terrible. I'm a
it's
Greek. I'm a
okay.
Greek.
It is
I'm a Greek
2024, I guess.
god. I'm
If
an
you
example
want
of whatever
to, I
what a
mean, we
man should
might get
be.
canceled. Well, actually, we might not get canceled if I'm not even going to go into that. So keep
Yeah.
going, Mr. Greek
I
goddess.
I was joking. Go ahead, Tyler. Go ahead and explain yourself. Okay, fine. I'm gonna go. I'll let you laugh for a little bit. Anyway, I'm a very tall gentleman, and I also sport a dad bod. So I'm what you would call a tree type body type. Is that a thing, Tyler?
And I guess you're definitely leaning more. For those who know, I would say Phil's more of an ectomorph. He's very tall. He's more on the slim side. I don't know. I wouldn't say
I'm
he's
not slim.
personally. I wouldn't say he's got. I mean, he might have a little bit of a dad bod, but
Oh, I have a dad bod. I hide it well.
that's valid. I have no idea. So, but he's tall for sure.
Yeah.
He's very tall and just very kind. Yeah, I guess he's like a tree. That's actually a really good way to put
I
it.
am shaped like a tree. I have no butt either, which is very difficult to keep my pants up. So I did try doing appendix carry for a while, and it just did
Mhm.
not work for me. And it would like dig into my like legs, and it wasn't the worst. But then, gosh, I feel like I'm airing out all of my like personal problems. Um, I always joke about this. I'm not ancient, but I am in my 40s, and with that and being tall as well with that comes back problems. So
Yeah.
I find that after carrying appendix for a certain period of time, it is a lot more uncomfortable after a while, and I do find more pain in my back. But by carrying on like my strong side, it is much better. But I don't like carrying massive holsters on my strong side. So I have
Mhm.
pretty much settled on like shield size, like MVP shield size for carrying it on my hip, and I could actually do that for like hours on end without having too
That's
much
awesome.
problems. That being said, I would love to find a way to like because kayaks is not flex to find a way, and I would love some reader feedback on this or listener feedback on this. Um, like find a way to make that more comfortable So
Mhm.
it's not because after a while carrying like that, the side of my leg like falls asleep.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so not great. But
And I
maybe I'm
know
just
you've tried a bunch of different belts as well, because I know early
have.
on
Yep.
you had just a regular like leather belt or fabric belt, and you realized that that wasn't working for you, so you kind of went full swing to like a more thick like. Did you get a Core Essentials belt? I'm trying to remember.
Yes, I did because I
You
have
did. Yep.
a holster for it. I didn't. I actually attempted to try it again too, but I did not like that.
Yeah, I know that was too thick for you, and because Core Essentials belts are great belts, but they're very rigid, and I get it, and it can definitely cause issues. So then I think you kind of swung back a little bit to now you've got the Groove belt, which is designed for concealed carry, but it has much more flex and stretchiness to it. And I that's what you use now, right?
Yeah, I actually wear the group belt exclusively, even when I'm not carrying. Just because I like them. They have a
Mhm.
little bit of flex in them, but they also they do like they're rigid enough where it's not a problem.
Yeah. I do
Uh,
know Tier 1 Concealed, they have like a hybrid belt where the front is more rigid like a core belt, but the back is stretchy like a groove belt. So that could be an
yeah,
option.
and I'm actually really considering looking into that because having that option is probably going to be the best type of solution because that was the biggest flaw with like the groove belt is that it does have a little bit of flex to it,
Yeah.
but it's you have to constantly be adjusting it between when you're carrying and not carrying in order to fit the firearm, and it does get a little bit uncomfortable after a while. So it would be nice to have something that moved with me but also had like that like more stretch in the back to it potentially. So
Hmm.
I may look into that. Who is that by, Tyler? I'm gonna Google it right now.
It's by Tier 1 Concealed. We actually have a buddy who owns that belt, so I might get you guys connected afterwards on that. Maybe see if you guys are about the same waist, maybe see if you can borrow it. Because he said he doesn't really care for it, but he has it.
Okay, yeah, I'll take a look at it.
Yeah, so that's it. I forgot about that belt. It's like they're hybrid. But I forgot what they call it. I think they came out with another iteration of it recently. I got an email about it. But spoilers, I love Tier 1 Concealed. That is what I use for my holster.
Yeah.
So
So I guess if you want to get into, I mean, already mentioned the way that you carry, but I'm just curious your thoughts on why you settled on the way you did.
yeah, so I'll go into my body type as well. So I am 5'8". I am more of a I work out fairly regularly. This summer I haven't worked out as much because of all of the travel and all of the sickness that I've had and camp and all of it. So, but I usually work out 3 to 4 times a week. So I'd say I'm more on the muscular side. For those who know, I'd be leaning more I'm sorry, power lifter versus bodybuilder. So I've got a little bit of a gut, but after doing my research and trying playing around with it, I did end up deciding to appendix carry. I carry my gun, my Glock 19 clone, my shadow systems, and I carry that at the appendix position with a tier 1 concealed holster, and I use a Core Essentials belt. That's what I rock pretty much every single day, and I am able to I carry that at work, at a desk job. Okay, I'm not, it's kind of a desk. I'm an assistant
It's a
pastor.
hybrid. Yeah.
It's a hybrid. I've had days where I'll be at my desk the whole time, and I've had others days where I'll be on the roof. So doing random things or what else have I done? It's weird. It's such a hybrid job. Some days I have no idea what I'm doing, or rather, I know what I'm doing, but some days I'm a desk job. Other days I'm like painting. So, but I'm still able to carry my gun in that position every single day. And in the summer, I usually don't carry with the light because the gun's a little lighter. So I'll be like their Axis Elite. But in the winter, I'll carry with a TLR1, and I use their MSP, which is the Modern Samurai Project version of it, which is a universal light bearing holster. So if that has a TLR1, I can carry pretty much any gun.
So you could carry a 2011.
I can if I really want to. I did carry what's that 10 millimeter Glock?
Oh, the Glock 40. The
Glock
Glock.
40.
Hang on, the Glock 40.
Glock 40. So my our
Could you?
buddy has one, Brian has one, and we went to the range with it. It did have a TLR1 on it, and I put it right in, and it was awesome. I was able to technically conceal carry it. It was
Could you
very
conceal
big and bulky.
carry if you could put a light on a Desert Eagle? Could you do that?
I totally could. The funny thing is,
It's
Tier
too
1
big. You
Concealed,
wouldn't
they
fit.
do not have a Desert Eagle holster, but they
Oh,
did have a video where they did all of their staff how they conceal carry, and one of their guys, as a joke, they made a Desert Eagle holster, and he was like doing a rowing machine. He got up and then pulled his Desert Eagle out. I,
that's funny.
I thought it was really funny.
Secretly,
So
deep down, every guy wants to own a Desert Eagle, but they don't want to deal with the shame of owning a Desert Eagle.
it's so true.
That being said, I think that we're at the point now with the Desert Eagle being such a meme gun that it's coming back around to be cool again because it is a meme gun.
It very much is. I
Yeah.
mean, you want a gold plated Desert Eagle, right?
Tiger Stripe, 100%. Dual plated Tiger Stripe. Um, the silver's pretty sweet looking too, but I would be remiss if I would be lying if did not want the Tiger Stripe in gold.
That's real. That's awesome, man.
It's Call of
So
Duty, man. That's how Ghost
I
got
know.
killed
I
by the Deagle.
remember. I remember, bro. I remember the Call of Duty days. We're trying to get all my guns to be gold, even though, or the well, gold for some, and then what was it like that autumn one or the fall camo for the Okay, I'm digressing. Never mind.
Yep.
So when I first started, I started with an M&P shield. I had this random leather belt that I already had, and I bought like the cheapest holster I could get from Amazon. It was terrible. I tried to three. Okay, remember I'm a lefty, so really I tried to 9 o'clock it or 3 o'clock. Then I would try 8 o'clock, and then I'll try like seven. I did fine for the shield. I could kind of do like that 8:30 ish or 8 o'clock 7:30 ish position, and that was okay. But I did notice that when I was working at UPS years ago, I hurt my knee stepping down really hard.
Mm,
And so I did notice that my right knee would get a little numb or start to hurt a little bit. So then after I saw some videos and a lot of these YouTubers, gun tubers were appendix carrying, I was like, you know what, I'm going to try that. And I noticed that it was just really comfortable for me and it worked out. I printed a little bit, but a part of it was because it was this cheap $10 holster, Kydex holster that I got from Amazon that it didn't have the claw, it didn't have like a holster foam pad or yoga mat yoga block that people would use to kind of push against the fupa, the fat under pelvic area. So I that worked. So then after I found out about Tier 1 Concealed through John Lovell, I was like, you know what? I'm gonna bite the bullet and I'm gonna get this holster. I'm gonna take the risk on it. And I'm glad I did because I fell in love with the holster and I just stuck with it. And I did get a better belt. I started out with a Blue Alpha low profile belt because it was the cheapest belt that was still thick enough and it worked great. But I didn't like the fact that it was Velcro, so it was really loud every time I needed to loosen and tighten the belt, whether I was standing or sitting. So then eventually I wanted to get a ratcheting belt. I was going to get a next belt, but I decided to get a Core Essentials belt. I think because it was on Amazon Prime, so it was easier and quicker to get.
mm.
And it was kind of back and forth because I didn't really like how the next belt had a really small buckle, so I wanted a regular size buckle, especially whenever I would tuck in my shirt. So it'll be not as obvious that this is a gun belt that I'm carrying. So eventually I did get the tier one concealed belt, had the core essentials belt, and I concealed carry that M&P shield for a year. And then I did get a shield plus. I liked it, but as Phil knows, and I think a lot of you have known by now, in the first 1,000 rounds, I think I had like 2 or 300 failure to feeds. It was terrible. Come to find out, there's an issue with the firing pin. Once they replaced it, it worked out great. But at that point, I did bite the bullet and I did buy my MR920. And I haven't looked back. That's what I conceal carry. And that's what I shoot for pretty much everything else. And I found that I'm able to conceal carry that MR920 every single day with very minimal printing. Now, if I get to like that right now I'm at like 210, but if I get to that 220 range, that's where I start to really print because with my body type, It's really nice for concealed carry that the front of my stomach is fairly flat, but when I gain weight, I get a lot on my love handles, so I really get that tactical muffin top. So it sucks, man. But at the same, it's nice for concealed carry, which is also another reason why it's actually pretty hard for me to carry at that side carry because my muffin top pushes it out. But I'm able to conceal carry up front just fine as long as I stay under 210 or 220. So that's another reason why maybe if I get down to 180, who knows? I could probably carry however I want. But at the moment, I carry at the 12 o'clock position or probably more like 11:30 position just fine. And yeah, that's where I'm at.
Yeah, I so let's think about this while you were going over kind of how it was set up.
Hmm.
And when I was appendix carrying, I definitely did not print, which was nice, right? And
That's true.
I
You did
was,
not print at all.
yep, I was carrying the poor poet, so that worked out pretty well. But it was heavy.
For those who don't
It,
know, what's a poor poet?
it's the PSA dagger. It's a Glock clone, but like on the other side of cost of the.
Mhm.
I didn't say
Yeah.
quality because it works just fine.
It does work great. And
Um,
also, another thing that's really cool is it's really a Glock 19X clone because you would use the full size grip.
yeah, I do, and I have both. I have both the 19 and the X size grip, so I can switch. But because of the extra weight up front, and people are like, oh, it's not that much weight, but like the way that I injured my back a few years back, and then have been hopefully recovering from it, it would just it was so uncomfortable after a while, and it would just kill my back. So I removed the spare magazine from the holster, right, and that helped a little bit, but then it would still dig into my leg a bit, and I was like, oh, I don't know about this. So while you were kind of going over it, yeah, I was like, man, there is a possible solution for this. If I go to something that's more of a like 365 slash
Yep.
shield size,
Yep.
it's going to be a little bit lighter. It's going to be flatter, and it's going to be smaller. And then potentially getting a appendix carry holster that maybe has extra mag on it. Maybe it carry extra mag elsewhere. But I could get it down small enough and light enough where it would not be as much of a problem. Because I would like to get back to appendix carrying
For sure.
at some point. Like I said, strong side is not too bad. I can get it to work if I'm carrying shield side on my strong side. I don't print a ton. When I carry the poor poet, I do have to have a holster with a claw. That was a thing that didn't really exist when I first started conceal carrying. And then they
Mm-hmm.
added the claw for, especially for appendix, and then now even with like strong side, that really helps because it pushes the grip of the firearm into my side. Because again, I'm a tree, so when you're putting like a gun on the side of the tree and then covering it up with a shirt, you're going to see the gun. Um, just because the way that my body is set up, I mean, I don't have much of a butt, so that makes it difficult as well too. And my other issues, I have to have my belt really tight with it to keep the gun up, my pants from falling down because of the additional heft of the firearm, which again causes more
Mm-hmm.
pain, it causes the gun to push more into my leg and all this stuff. Yeah,
What you're
first world
telling me is
problem.
you gotta squat more.
First world problems. It's just this is the leg. This is like falling asleep. That's my biggest issue, and then like
Yeah.
rubbing up against it. So then I get to thinking, I'm like, okay, jokingly, that's why I want to carry with a shoulder holster
Yeah.
because it's really comfortable. It takes all of that like weight off of your hips and like your back and puts it on your shoulders, right? And
Hmm.
I'm sure it's not as great as I think it is, but plus you get to look like a detective and you get to wear a suit coat all the time or a jacket of some sort. I joke and I do digress, but yeah, I don't carry as much as Tyler does because I literally work from my desk at home. And then if I go out, I probably should carry more. I do keep a pistol with me at all times in my locked vehicle. Um, and most of my, if I carried more, maybe it would be less of an issue. But usually I carry it at my church typically because of the safety team. So yeah, I guess all that to kind of say,
So why I my question for you is
yeah,
you mentioned that you want to get back to appendix carry. Why do you want to do
yeah.
that?
Uh, I think from a like if it wasn't causing, like, again, this sounds like I'm so old, but the back issues, but if it would
Yeah.
help with that, and then it would make walking potentially easier. Um, Even that being said, it kind of pushes in. If I can get something that's like up front, where it's
Hmm.
out of the way and it's just kind of hanging out there all day long, sounds like terrible, but um, it would be doable, right? But it would have to be small enough. I don't, I don't know.
Yeah.
And the
I
other thing to
mean,
consider too that we haven't really talked about is maybe a little bit is accessibility for actually presenting the
oh,
firearm
100%.
in strong side and appendix are going to be your two fastest options, hands
Yes.
down or
No
hands up,
question.
hands
Yeah.
forward. Anyway,
I mean, it's pretty obvious. Like in my opinion, the fastest carry position is appendix. Your gun's right in front of you,
right.
and it's very easily accessible. So that two reasons why other than the comfortability and all of it, it really is. I'm able to, from cold, I can probably draw at about a 1.3 second draw and still get an alpha, give or take, from concealment at appendix. Whereas, granted, because I don't train with it, s- strong side, I'm probably like two something because that's
Yeah.
why I don't train. But if I were to train, I could probably get it down to like a 1.5, I'd say, give or
Oh
take.
yeah.
But either way, like it's faster to get to, and also if you're in a car, you can still draw from your 12 o'clock versus trying to draw from your strong side while seated in a car. Good luck with that. Let's be
Well,
real.
when you're built like a tree, I don't have that problem. I honestly, I
I
can
mean, I don't.
I can actually get access to a lot easier than I can. Obviously, because of my height,
Oh,
just because
that's a
it's
good point.
already like
Yeah,
so the way that I sit in a car, I'm
I can't
situated.
do it. Yeah, yeah, it's true. I guess I didn't think about that, but for me, I can't do it at all from
Yeah.
strong side. There's just no way.
But unless I'm driving for a very short period of time, anyway, I will take my concealed carry off my body and put it in my spot in my car that I will not say.
Oh, for sure.
It's in there, and I can get
I
quick
get it.
access to it. Um, yeah,
Well, I even think of once again, I'm hopefully I'm never gonna be in a situation like let's say I have to wrestle with somebody. If I'm grappling with somebody or in a fight, like it's in my 12 o'clock, I can easily protect that because my hands are still in front of me, protect my gun and protect
right.
myself versus trying to protect my side, especially if I'm once again, I am have no idea because I've never been in this situation. I hope I never will be, but this is based off of the testimony of other gun tubers. They're like, yeah, that's why you want it up front. It's easier to grapple with. It's not in the way. And there was this black belt jujitsu guy that was doing like it was like a force on force, like grappling gun training. And he said that he prefers to carry strong side, but as he did more of this teaching, his gun slowly moved towards the appendix because it was just easier to grab and easier to protect. So
Hmm.
I have to find that video again.
Yeah, there are a lot of advantages. The other nice thing too is it used to be a lot of people carry strong side. If you were because it got okay, if you're shooting competition, USPSA, IDPA, it used to be you had to shoot strong side.
Yeah.
In USPSA, you guess I'm not sure if you could shoot concealed carry back in the day. With on the strong side. Anyway, IDPA, strong side only, and so people were getting that practice, right? Well, both sports have since changed their policies where you can uh, shoot the sport from appendix. So now you have the ability to actually practice while you're under stress inoculation,
Hmm.
which is cool. So, and you could go off the range and practice on your own anyway, but it's another thing to be around a lot of people when you're doing it too. So, all that to be said, realistically, I think it's a lot of just finding out what works for you
Yep.
from the type of body that you have, your concealability, and then the long term ability to carry for more than a couple minutes, right?
Yeah. No
And
kidding.
maybe a lot of us getting used to it. And there's a lot, like you mentioned earlier, there's a lot of things that can assist with it. You can get like the yoga mat pads. You can get other various things that add some padding outside of the kydex that gives somewhat of a simulation of wearing a leather and or a like uh, neoprene type system. It's never going to be as good as that, but
No.
Anyway, any other ideas or thoughts regarding concealed carry positions, Tyler?
So I do know that one thing that a lot of people, I've had friends who have gone to the range with me or have asked me how I carry, and I tell them that I carry at appendix. The first thing, first reaction for I say 9 out of 10 people is, aren't you afraid that you're gonna shoot your junk off? I'll be honest. Well, one, no, because this is because I've carried enough times to where my gun is not going to ND without me pulling the trigger. So, and two, I have a holster that protects it. And three, people have brought up the whole I'll shoot my femoral artery. My femoral artery is nowhere near where I carry at a appendix. And I argue that you are in more danger of shooting yourself strong side than at appendix. Yes, I am risking shooting my manhood off, but at strong side, I'm shooting my butt, and depending on if a lot of people when they holster strong side, they actually go in at an angle. So not only am I shooting my butt, I'm also aiming down my other leg, and
Okay.
I am definitely shooting through my femoral artery that way and other areas to where it's actually more dangerous depending on the way that you holster, which is why remember, yes, it is a race to get your gun out, but it is not a race to get your gun back in your holster.
Oh, absolutely.
So slow down when you holster. That's when most NDs are anyway. So that's all I've got. Do you have any closing thoughts, Phil?
Yeah, realistically, the best concealed carry position is the flashbang bra holster.
Oh my goodness.
So if you're considering concealed carrying, even if you're a dude, that may be the best way to go. I'm joking, of course. And actually, I recommend against those because somebody there's a story of a woman, and you're gonna find problems with everything. But like there's a story of a woman who actually shot herself
Are you
with one
serious?
and killed herself.
Oh
Yeah.
my goodness.
The one thing we didn't
Wow.
touch on, and I want to hit this very quickly, and this is actually more realistic, is a belly band, especially for a gentleman who are getting older.
Hmm.
You can also carry a belly band. So, and I have talked to Nathan, a friend of ours who conceal carries a lot, and he tried one out, didn't like it. He's about my age as well, maybe a little bit older, but for certain body types, that's also an option as well. And for women that want to carry, because women tend to wear pants sometimes a little bit like they don't they can't wear a belt with it just because of the style of the pant. So carrying some kind of like belly band is also an option, especially with the way that a woman's body is built different than a man's body. They're obviously more like hippie than men are, so they can kind of get away with using a belly band holster a bit easier than guys that
Yep.
are shaped like a tree can. So
Yeah,
that's an option too. It's going to be slower because
it is.
you're drawing further up, but it's still going to be faster than drawing from a purse,
Oh, for
or even a
sure.
fanny pack.
Yeah. And I know there are other, of course, I have concealed carry with the suit before, and where my shirt is tucked in and I'm still carrying at 12 o'clock. So I use my tier one concealed holster. I have a second one and I have ulti clips on it.
Hmm,
So it actually attaches to the fabric of my pants and not my belt. So that's how I carry it that way. I only bring that up because you brought up with like women, and that is another option where there are holsters that have like these ulti clips or fabric clips where it actually clips to the fabric.
sure.
And I know there's like this belt, not a belt, but it's kind of cool where it's kind of like a belt and you clip it onto your pants, and then you'll actually holster your gun. The clips of your gun will of your holster will go on top of that belt thing. It's actually kind of cool. So I that would definitely be an option for me if now that I have a home gym, but if I still went to a public gym, I might conceal carry that way. Probably not, only because yeah, probably not. Not anything about maybe for hiking. I don't know. Never mind.
Yeah,
I feel like
yeah,
it's a
and
great
that
idea, but
right.
I don't want the risk of flashing my gun.
Right, that's true. And I see you even think about the hiking, the belly band, maybe another option for that as well too, because it allows you to move a little bit easier and
For
have like
sure.
a lighter type pant on, like a hiking pant on. The one thing we did not talk about, and I don't want to belabor the episode or make the episode any longer than it needs to be, but is pocket carry. I do pocket
Yeah.
carry from time to time when it like that's an option during the summer as well when you're wearing shorts.
Hmm.
Um,
Or if you're just going to a
obviously
mailbox.
yeah, going mailbox. Obviously, when you're pocket carrying, you are like Tyler's talking about at the beginning of the episode, you are looking at a much smaller pistol, like an LCP in
Yep.
380 that you can put in your pocket. We own one. I say we, my wife and I own one. Actually, it's registered to her, but the Michigan law allows you to carry if you both have a concealed carry permit. But I have carried that before, and it has like a little cloth holster that it came with that it slides in nicely and actually gives a little bit of a different shape when it's in your pocket, so it doesn't look like you have a pistol. And then it
Hmm.
also works to cover up the trigger guard. And I've carried that, and that is by far the most comfortable way, with the exception of maybe like a fanny pack or a
Of
bag or
course.
something like that, is the most comfortable way to carry. But you are limited to the size of the firearm that you are carrying, because if you get too big and you get too thick, you're gonna, number one, it's gonna not fit in your pocket. Number two, it's gonna print like crazy, especially with the
Hmm.
stretchy jeans that we all wear today.
You could ankle holster.
You could also ankle holster. That is one thing we did not talk about too.
I forgot about that till just now.
Yeah, I made a joke about it earlier about boot carrying, but there is
Oh
actually
yeah,
my
that's true.
uncle, who will never listen to this podcast, had a backup firearm as a state police officer and shot himself in the foot, boot
No,
carrying. Yeah, so there's some dangers with that, because you talk about reholstering, like you're putting it in there and there's a lot going on in there. But
that's
hey, if you
crazy.
if you got no other options, or you want to carry it back up and you can boot carry safely, by all means,
That's
do
I didn't even
fun.
think
It's
about
it's
that.
a free
Wow.
country.
I guess.
So, all right, I'm gonna end this, because this way, if I end it now, then I get to ask, what do you have for dad advice, Tyler?
The funny thing is, I had it at the beginning of the episode when we were
Ah,
prepping,
yeah.
and I'm trying to remember what it was. Wait, what was it? I had it. I had it this morning. I literally had it 51 minutes ago.
Yeah,
But of
it's
course,
gone.
it was
It's gone
51
in the
minutes ago. It's
ether now.
gone. I had it. What
Do,
was it? It was a good one too.
do you know how you catch an ether bunny, Tyler?
Follow the poop.
You catch an ether bunny with the Ethernet. Anyway.
Oh, I thought you said Easter bunny. That's why I said
Oh, no,
follow
no,
the
no,
poop.
no, an ether bunny.
Oh, I have
That
no
would
idea.
not make it. Yeah, it's an IT joke. Anyway, terrible.
Literally, I'm not an
I'm
IT guy.
trying to
For some
stall for
reason, my
you so
pastor
you can
keeps
come
calling
up
me
with.
the IT guy of our church. I'm like, I am not. I know nothing about IT. Okay, that's not completely true. I know how to I know how to print a PDF, but
Okay, so here's my advice. I'll start off. This is not dad advice. This is life advice.
no,
Uh,
I got it.
practice. I'm already going. You've
Ugh.
lost your opportunity. You're going to have to go next. Practice digital hygiene. When I mean digital hygiene, obviously it's a firearms podcast, but is a podcast so you're probably listening to on a device. But try to make sure that you have either random passwords for all your really important stuff, or if you
Yep.
do reuse a password, use it only on things that don't matter as much. And even then, things that don't matter, there's always a way to find to get into other things. Do that. Keep yourself up to date. Update your
Mhm.
phone. Even people think they're impervious to hacking. That is not true. So update your stuff, and then also, along with digital hygiene of like safety perspectives, from like patching passwords, bank account, make sure you have like multi-factor authentication on the most important stuff that you have, because even if your password does get compromised, they still have to break multi-factor, which is a whole nother thing. It's doable, but it's harder. They're probably gonna give up and move on. But also with digital hygiene, remember that whatever you put out on the internet, including podcasts,
Mhm.
is there forever.
Yes.
And this is advice a lot of people of my generation, maybe even of like your generation, understand that. But there are a lot of people that are growing up with the internet today that do not understand. If you put it out there, it's probably going to get found at some point again. And you don't necessarily want to get found by an employer, by a spouse. Number one, don't do stuff dumb anyway. But assume that anything that you put on the internet is there for good. Somebody's going to find it, and there's always a possibility that you will lose out on the opportunity of a job, something else, because you did something dumb when you were a kid.
Mhm.
Unless it's doing lightsaber battles, in which case, please keep that up.
Oh, always, especially as dudes.
Yep. All right, Tyler. What is your advice for this podcast that is not about technology?
Yeah. So, well, the funny thing is, as you're talking about that, for those who don't, I'm a big credit card guy. So this is not part of my dad advice. This is in conjunction to what Phil was saying. And this is not legal advice at all, but this is what I would personally recommend, and this is what I would do personally. It's just I open to I but all that's it. I'm a credit card guy. If you do not plan on opening a credit card or getting a loan anytime soon, you can freeze your credit. Do
Yeah.
that. This way, that's another way to protect yourself from fraud or anything. It's super easy. It's free. It's not hard to do. Protects yourself in that way. So freeze your credit. So if you do plan on opening a credit card or get a loan soon, that's fine. I get it. But if not, there's no point in keeping it unfrozen. It's another layer of security. So
Yep.
that's in conjunction.
Yeah.
Two, or my main dad advice is we joked about this a lot. Phil joked about this in the last week's episode opening, how I've been gone a lot because I've been traveling, whether it's vacation or for work. And I'm about to go on vacation again. And I was talking to my coworker about it, and I'm kind of burnt out on travel. It's really weird to say, but I kind of yearn for that routine again and getting back to normal. I have friends who I know who are obsessed about the quote unquote American dream of they want to be business owners and they're tired of working the 9 to 5 and tired of the routine and people telling them what to do. And they all they want to do is quit their jobs and travel the world.
Mm.
If they want to do that, that's fine. They can do whatever they want. But I know that's not really for me because I enjoy the routine, the monotony of life. And of course, travel, go on vacation, get rest. But it's okay to enjoy the boring aspects of life. Life isn't about living in the mountaintop experiences. There are times we live in the valleys. There are times we are wandering and exploring. There are times we're just on the trail trying to figure out where we're even going, and that's okay. So enjoy where you're at in life and appreciate the boring process of it.
Yeah, it's interesting. I it does make those special times when you are traveling a little bit more special.
So true.
In even though they sometimes they're fleeting. But I
Hmm.
think the same thing too goes with um life in general is if you're always having fun, then you it makes the fun no longer enjoyable.
That's so true.
And then like even too if you're always having fun, you're gonna find more and more extremes, which can lead into other problems. Like I always think about like children of rich people that grow up with a trust fund and they don't ever have to work and they're just having
Yep.
fun all the time. They end up getting in more trouble than anything. They end up in jail,
So true.
right? And the
Well,
same thing can be
because they're
applied with
trying to
like
get that
yeah,
high.
right. So people are designed to work. It's good to work. It's also good to be creative too. So just
Yes.
because you're not traveling doesn't mean that you can't be doing something that's creative. Find those creative outputs.
Yes.
Don't watch TV all the time. Don't listen to our podcast unless you're traveling, in which case please
Yeah.
do. Do listen to our podcast. I'm joking, but like we have this like crazy idea of doing a podcast, and realistically, we know that it's not it's like we were talking about actually prior to even recording the podcast. One of the reasons why I wanted to do a podcast was that I could improve my speaking in longer formats without using filler words. And by no means am I perfect at it, but it definitely helps in that way. So if you take up something you want to do that's fun, you may want to turn into something. So the podcast if it turns into something fantastic. If it doesn't, I'm going to still try to get something else out of it, right?
Hmm.
So
I think
man,
of
I
all
feel
the
like we're
cool
like
people who
layering dad advice here tonight.
I know. Well, it's really cool too because, of course, through this podcast, you and I have gotten closer, and we've gotten to meet some awesome people. I mean, we talked about John, that White House security Marine guy.
Yeah.
That was a cool conversation. I will never understand how that podcast didn't do well, though. Come on, guys. By the way, shout
It
out to
was
that episode.
yeah, it
Listen to
was.
that episode. That
I
was
know.
such a great episode.
Yeah.
And of course,
It was
we
early on too. But
it
yeah,
was early
anyway.
on, and of course, we got shouted out by good old Battle Gnome Paul, bro. Let's connect, man. If you're listening, you said we'd do an episode together, bro. So I'm kidding. Well, I'm not because I still have that DM. So
Yeah, all I have to say, like when you're setting out to do something new and creative, things are going to take a while for you to get like anywhere near where you want to be, and
Yeah.
do it for yourself. Don't do it for the recognition. Don't do it for the likes. Don't do
No.
it for the whatever. See, now I'm burning up dad advice here. I gotta stop.
Like you
Anyway,
said, we're layering dad advice, bro.
that's right. Just layers, these players. All right. With that, we're gonna go ahead and end the episode here. We are just short of an hour. I'm gonna try to make it in just an hour short.
Oh
So
yeah.
I gotta add the intro music and stuff as I'm burning more seconds. Anyway, go ahead, like, subscribe, follow us on Instagram. We'll try to post more out there. Comment, and we hope that you enjoy this episode. And we'll see you next week.
See you next week. Bye.